Good evening. My name is Felicia Orth. I'd like to welcome you to this candidate forum. I'm the current president of the local league, which is a nonpartisan organization whose mission it is to enable voters to make educated decisions on election day. We welcome new members, women and men. Membership forms are available on the table there and also on the back of the Los Alamos voter guide that is in today's Daily Post, tucked right in there. So make sure you pull that out, and you can take it with you to the polls and refer to it as necessary. You can also learn more about us on our webpage, lwvlosalamos.org. While I'm thinking about it, please silence your cell phones or set them on stun. They're disruptive when they go off when someone's talking. We are pleased that Jean Chandreau from PAC 8 is making a video recording of this forum, which will be put on the webpage. We are also pleased to welcome two volunteer assistants from the Hilltalkers High School Debate Club. Here they are, right down front. That's Zoe Bent and Luke Favorite. Our county clerk, Naomi Maestas, is going to say a few words about the election, and then Superintendent Jennifer Guy will speak to the bond question. There'll be time for her to answer a few questions. We'll meet the school board candidates who are here, and then the UNMLA advisory board candidates. Please note that there is a table just laden with swag from the county clerk's office, some great little notebooks and screen cleaners, small American flags, mints. Please help yourself, and obviously to the cookies in the next room. So let's see, where is Naomi? There you are. If you would please come up.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'd like to just go through a few things real quick. I'm not going to take my time to take away from these very, very important people that you need to hear from. But in case any of you are not aware, I am your county clerk, and I have the honor of being your county clerk for the next 1 year, 2 months, 25 days, 4 hours, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds. It is bittersweet. I wish they had 3 terms for elected clerks, because I think your first term, you're getting your bearings, you're figuring things out, you're finding your voice. Your second term, okay, I got this, I'm gonna get my momentum, and then it's over. But I'm very excited to get us through this election, through next year's election, and I promise you I will do my best job. We have an amazing staff in our office, and I can guarantee you we will get through it all. Just real quick, since I have staff in the audience tonight, this is Allison Collins. She is our deputy clerk in the office, and she brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the office, so glad that she is here. She set up the beautiful arrangement we have here this evening, and we thank her for her efforts. So as many of you know, the regular local election, also known as the RLE, was formed by the Local Election Act, which was passed by the New Mexico legislature in 2018. This act provided for consolidated local elections. Before that, we'd have a lot of little elections all throughout the year. And so now it just consolidates them all to 1 year. So there's no such thing as an off election year anymore. We have our general elections in our even years, and our regular local elections in our odd years. And these elections, the regular local election, is more consolidated or consists of our school board, our UNM advisory board, and if any local governing body wants to put a question on the ballot, they can do that at that time. Real quick, I want to talk to you about voting dates and times. So online voter registration ends Tuesday, October 8th, but if somebody overlooks that deadline, we have same-day voter registration. People can now register to vote up until Election Day. Okay, we have, in this community, we have a lot of people They're excited. They get to move into this amazing community. They forget to update their voter registration. It was very disheartening to see people be turned away at the polls because they forgot this important aspect because they're moving here. And now we can have them registered as long as they have some identifying information. It's a little more information than if they had not missed that 28-day cutoff, but now they can register to vote up until Election Day, which has proved very valuable in our community and communities throughout their state. Early voting starts on Tuesday, October 10th. Believe it or not, that's next Tuesday. We're still in shock. But that's going to be from 8 to 5 at our municipal building in the Boards and Commissions room. Additional voting starts in White Rock, at the White Rock Town Hall, and that's going to start on October 21st. We extend by 1 hour, so it's going to be from 8 to 6, and we extend to Saturdays. So it'll be Monday through Saturdays on those. Early voting ends November 4th. So if you have travel plans, you think you're going to be out of town, please, that's an important date. And then sometimes folks, you have to plan for the unexpected. So if you can go and early vote, please early vote. I know people, it's something that's important to them to vote on Election Day, but if you get sick or you get called out of town, you just want to make sure that your vote is cast. So try to get into those early voting dates if you can. Absentee ballots can be obtained from nmvote.org in person or at any of our polling locations or by mail. The last day to apply for a application is Tuesday, October 24th. This is something important because due to recent passed legislation just this January, that date has scaled back a little bit. Before you were able to get it till the Friday before the election. Now it's the Tuesday before because we want to make sure and get those ballots back to us by Election Day, okay? All ballots are due to our office by Election Day, Tuesday, November 7th. And they can be dropped off at any polling location at our office or by utilizing any of our drive-through drop boxes. And those are great because you just drive through. If you have a carload of kids or you're caring for somebody, you can just drive through and drop your ballot off at the ballot drop box. And those are at our libraries, at Mesa Public Library and at the White Rock Library. Our Election Day vote centers are open from 7 to 7, and Election Day again is November 7th. It's the Municipal Building, White Rock Town Hall, Golf Course Building, Betty Ehart Senior Center, and UNMLA. Usually it's in Building 6, but this election, because they're doing construction, it's going to be in this building, in this room right here. So this is where you're going to come if you want to utilize this space. Quick plug, nmvote.org. You can register to vote. You can request an absentee ballot. You can look up a sample ballot that's specific to you. And so that it's a very important tool if you can, nmvote.org. Also, we ask that you follow us on our social media platforms. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's the best way to get up-to-date information for our office and for the upcoming election. At this point, I went through that very fast because I want to spend our time on the important people in the room, and I will stand for any questions if you have any. Yes?
A couple questions. When you say up to Election Day, does that mean one can register to vote on Election Day?
Yes.
Okay.
The law allows for that.
And then the second question on the drop-off locations, will the video the cameras be working this time?
So they've always been working. So I think maybe you're talking about in 2020 when we had the pandemic, that was an immediate action that we had to take to make sure everybody was safe and in place. So we didn't. It was an extension of our office. That's why there was not video surveillance. By law, any ballot drop box has to have video surveillance. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, I will be here. I'll be here through the duration. If you have any questions or you think of anything throughout the forum here, just feel free to stop by, talk to me, or pick up some information that you like, or some great swag, as mentioned earlier. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. That's right. Thank you so much. Superintendent Guy. Oh, there you are.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you for giving me a few minutes. I'm going to keep it really short. But I wanted to talk to you just a little bit. For most of you in the room, you know that as public schools, we get money from the state through the SEG for things like teacher salary, books, student supplies. We don't get a lot of money for brick and mortar repairs. And so we're very reliant on taxpayer dollars for things from computers, all of our student one-to-one computers, software that they're using, we pay for out of referendum money. When we look at rebuilding schools, HVAC, those kind of things, we're very reliant on bond money. That's the only way we can do that. So this November, we have a very important bond on the agenda. So tonight, on the ballot. So my appeal to you tonight is just be mindful that that's there and encourage everybody you can to vote. We kind of have a unique opportunity this year. One of the big things that we will be doing are rebuilding the 2 schools in White Rock. And so we've heard a lot of people ask, do they need rebuilt? And we started looking at just upgrading and renovating those schools about 6 years ago. And at that time, the state said that we were going to have to come to the ground, they didn't meet standards. Right before school started this year, the roof blew off of part of Pinion. It was raining, we've got buckets sitting all over Chamisa. We're concerned about structural integrity, so we really desperately need to update those schools. The other things that we've done in the past, we did partial rebuilds. So if you visited the high school lately, the old parts of the building are still original parts of the school. We need to update HVAC in those parts of the building. We need to rebuild and renovate several of the older areas of those schools, including Aspen. The gym doesn't have HVAC in it. So we need to do some important repairs. One of the things, we have a great, unique opportunity, and thank you very much, Representative Chandler, for helping us, guide us through the process. But we approached the state as we began these rebuilds of this reconstruction of the schools in White Rock. And cost, we started before the pandemic, so by the end of the pandemic, cost had skyrocketed. The State Public School Capital Outlay Council approved a $35 million waiver. And so when we pass this bond, we're asking for a $30 million bond, which is a continuation of current tax rates. We will be able to accept that waiver from the state, and we will then have the $35 million to put towards those schools that we don't have to repay. And so we're very excited and grateful for this opportunity, and we're grateful for the support we've had around it. I'm happy to stand for any questions, but I want to make sure we have plenty of time, so I'll just, if it's okay, move on to questions. Some of you have heard me talk about the bond a lot at this point. So does anybody have any questions? Yes, Ms. Matee.
Please explain the continuation of it again, because my understanding when the bond was first proposed to build the high school was that I'll project like I told. My understanding was that when the high school bond was first proposed, that we were told that would be continue, that our taxes would not go down, for example, because of the bond for the high school. So has that been paid? And so we're asking for that same amount or for an additional amount for a bond?
That's a great question. We're asking for the same amount. So we're not asking for an additional bond. That bond has been repaid, and we're asking to continue at the current existing rate. And so that's a great question, because we are not stacking bonds on top of each other. We're fully repaying the bond that we have out, and then we're just asking to continue that. So that's a very good question.
And then I understand that you have a very important personal announcement to make.
Thank you. That's my best news. Addie is a brand new first-time grandma. It's pretty great, and so I'm very excited. Thank you. That's my favorite question. Okay, any other bond questions? I'm happy anytime. You email me, call me. Board Member Spector's here tonight in her bond shirt, President Hargey's here tonight. We're all happy to answer questions about the bond, anybody on staff. So if there's something that you really want to sit down and talk about, I'm happy to do that. If you want numbers, if you want financials, if you want data, any of those kind of stuff, we're open book. We're happy to provide those for you. So just ask if you've got questions. We'd love to answer them. So thank you. We hope we have, you can get everyone out to vote. Thank you very much. We'll go behind you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move to the candidates for the school board election. Elections for school board here are divided into 5 voting districts, 3 of which have openings this year. Members serve a 4-year term. In District 5, an incumbent is running unopposed. That's Sandra Wyman. She couldn't join us tonight, but I will read her statement after we hear from the people who did join us. And in District 4, we have an incumbent, Melanie Colgan, also running unopposed, also unable to join us tonight. And again, she sent a written statement that I'll read to you after we hear the live statements. In District 3, which I think is called the Aspen District, yes? Okay. We have 3 candidates, all of whom join us tonight. In ballot order, Christine Ann Bernstein, Lauren Copeland, and Sean Stanfield. Each candidate has 3 minutes for an introductory statement, and when they're finished, we'll take questions from all of you. The questions have to be directed to all candidates, not just a question to one candidate. Following, you have a minute to ask the question, and they have a minute and a half to answer it. And then each candidate will have another minute for a closing statement. Please hold any applause you might feel compelled to offer until after the closing statements, and show your respect for the candidates and process tonight. Our timekeepers will hold up warning flags. You saw the yellow paddle, I think, earlier, and then the red paddle, so you'll know how much time you have remaining. If you are in the middle of a sentence, when the paddle is held up or a bell rings, finish the sentence, but please don't start another sentence. So let's, again, we're going in ballot order. Candidate Bernstein.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Am I being heard okay? All right. I want you to think of a time when you have struggled learning something, or a time when you are maybe trying to solve a problem, and then all of a sudden you figure it out or you understand it, and you get that aha moment. That light bulb goes off. I think we've all experienced this feeling before. Last year, I was teaching here at UNMLA. I was teaching adult ESL. And I was working with a student, and she was struggling and struggling. We were working on speech fluency, and one day, the light bulb went off for her. And in that moment, I felt this incredible, immense joy for her, and I felt like just so proud. And I realized this is why I'm an educator. I'm an educator because that light bulb. There's something special about being able to educate people and see those little light bulbs go off. I am currently on the board, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but we are currently working on a strategic plan. We are working toward 100% of our students will have light bulbs going off every day. That's not quite the vision, but that's my version. And so we're talking about 100% of our students achieving academic excellence, civic responsibility, and well-being. These are things that we've talked about for quite a while, and now we are just at the beginning phases of this plan. It's very important that there's continuity is maintained during this plan so that we can do this work. This board has gone through 5 different board members in less than 4 years. We are currently in phase 1 of a 3 to 5 year living plan. It's a living document. We're just starting. I am highly invested in this. I am dedicated and I'm 100% committed to helping support our leadership to make this happen. As your board member, I have always acted on integrity. I have been consistently meaningful, engaged in what we do and the work we do on this board. I'm committed to finishing this work. I want to continue working with our superintendent to make her vision happen. We need continuity. When new people arrive, it stops the flow. We have some really good momentum going right now. I need to continue this work. I'm proud of what we're doing, and I believe in it. So, I'm Christine Bernstein. I'm an educator and a parent in this district. And I am your LAPS board member.
Thank you, Candidate Bernstein. All right, Candidate Copeland, and you may sit or stand as you're comfortable.
Okay, is this working? No. Wonderful. I'm Lauren Copeland, and I want to thank the league and everyone for being here. This sort of engagement is crucial for our community. My first interaction with a school board member was when I was 16 years old. We had an assistant principal who was known for yelling and for making students cry. One day he picked the wrong kid, and it was my best friend, and I could not stand it. I went home that night, looked up phone numbers, and I called one of our school board members. She listened, I felt heard, and I don't know exactly what action was taken, but I never saw it happen again. From that experience, I learned that one powerful voice can make meaningful change. From there, that led me to become a teacher, and that is also why I want to be on the school board, to help create that meaningful change. This led me to, after I finished my teacher education, to work at an alternative high school. We gathered students from around the region for whom the regular school system did not work. We looked at the whole child. We acknowledged the struggles outside of the classroom that were affecting them in the classroom. We used whatever means we needed to make sure that their needs were met and that they could learn and graduate. Today, I am the education director for Los Alamos Jewish Center. I have been involved in educational activities through volunteering throughout the community, including Family Strengths Network, where I began the early intervention fair as well as the STEM class program. I've also worked with Aspen PTO and many other organizations. Today, I want to continue the work that I've been doing. I've been attending school board meetings. I have been on the Equity Council, as well as the Calendar Committee, which I suspect we will talk about more later. And I have been deeply involved with advocating for changes that allow all of our students to find success. I am running so that I can continue this work and take it to the next level. I ask for your vote so that we can acknowledge our successes, but also address where we are falling short so that we can reach 100% of students. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Copeland, Candidate Sanford.
Can I borrow that? Stand, I think I'll do better if I stand.
That's it.
Sure, that's a good idea to stand up. And I'd like to thank everybody for being here. And I'd actually like to thank Ms. Bernstein for serving on the board the last 4 years. I know it's not easy, I know it's a tough job, and everybody here appreciates the time you spend and everything you do. I decided to run for the school board for a number of different reasons. I've had 3 kids at the Los Alamos schools. One's a sophomore in college. I have a senior in high school and a sophomore in high school as well. One of the items that has really just seeing some of the mental health issues some of the kids have had over the last few years being able to attend school, some of those items are some of the things that have really motivated me to want to run. We are been more active from our perspective with our kids in extracurricular activities, doing other things that aren't always in the classroom. So there are some things we'd like to affect there. The board can't always affect that, but that is something else we'd like to do. Very important to me is the daily interaction with the students and the teachers and the parent-student-teacher relationship. I'd like to make sure that continues. We need everybody on the same page. One of the things the strategic plan analysis had said is that they saw a lack of parent engagement, which was surprising to me in this town, that they would actually say at times there's not enough parent engagement. So I'd like to make sure that continues to happen, and maybe we do that a little more between the parents, the teachers, and the children. My main interactions with school board members in the past have not been a lot. I actually probably interact more with teachers and the administration more than the school board, because that's where we've tried to affect change, is some of the operations there. One of the other items my mom told me, who's been a teacher for years, taught in Arizona, New Mexico, is my grandfather actually served on the school board in Doran, New Mexico in the 60s or 70s. So it was something I'd like to follow up as well. I appreciate everybody's time and look forward to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So that is our 3 candidates for District 3. The statement from the 1 candidate for District 4, Melanie Colgan, is this. I am running for re-election to the Los Alamos School Board District 4 seat because I believe that every student deserves access to a high-quality education. As a current Los Alamos School Board member and a parent of 5 children who attend LAPS, I know firsthand the challenges students and teachers face in our education system. If re-elected, I will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that our schools have the resources they need to provide a world-class education to our students. This includes advocating for increased funding for our schools, improving teacher training and retention, and promoting policies that support student achievement. As a nursing professor at Northern New Mexico College, I have seen the importance of having qualified teachers who receive the resources and support their need to help students thrive. Too many New Mexican students attend K-12 schools that lack experienced teachers and resources that lead to success after graduation. I will continue to fight to make sure this will not happen in Los Alamos. I will support policies that attract and retain the best educators and ensure they have the resources they need to succeed. Finally, I am passionate about student well-being, and I will prioritize programs that address mental health, bullying, drug abuse, and provide opportunities for extracurricular activities. I believe that a well-rounded education that addresses students' social and emotional needs is essential for their overall success. My personal experiences as a parent, community advocate, and education professional have prepared me well for this role. I hold a master's degree in nursing education and have volunteered in various capacities in my children's schools, sports teams, and scout troops. As a current board member, I have advocated for policies that improve education outcomes for all students. I look forward to continuing my service on the Los Alamos Public School Board. I humbly ask for your support in the upcoming election. I also ask you to support the GO Bond. For over 20 years, this bond has funded improvements, renovations, and rebuilds at the Los Alamos High School, Los Alamos Middle School, Aspen Elementary School, Mountain Elementary School, Barranca Mesa Elementary School, Sullivan Fieldhouse, and Sullivan Field. Our school district now needs funds to rebuild Pinon and Chamisa elementary schools, replace HVAC systems at the middle school and high school, and gym updates at Barranca Mesa and Aspen Elementary School, along with middle school. The GO bond will not increase your taxes, and it will allow LAPS to reach the goal of raising $30 million to further improve our schools. Please vote in support of the GO bond. Then there's a statement from the one candidate for District 5. This is Sandra Wyman. Hello to everyone attending tonight's candidate forum. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I represent Los Alamos Public Schools District 5, which includes Mountain Elementary School and Los Alamos High School. My husband and I moved to Los Alamos in 1994 with our 3 kids, ages 1 to 5 years old. All 3 of our children went through the Los Alamos Public Schools, K through 12, and all 3 attended Mountain Elementary School. While our kids attended Mountain Elementary, I actively participated in their classroom as a volunteer. In 2007, I began substituting for the Los Alamos Public Schools, primarily at the high school, and soon realized I was drawn to special education. That experience led to a much-loved position as an instructional aide at the high school, working one-on-one with students and working in the Living Skills program. I was then hired as the athletic secretary, which became another cherished position, often involving a gaggle of students hanging out in my office as I worked. I left the schools in 2011 to return to the procurement career field, which I joined after graduating from Arizona State University with a bachelor's degree in production and operations management, emphasis procurement. I continue to work full-time in that field today. In addition to volunteer and employment positions within LAPS, I have also held volunteer and employment positions in various nonprofit organizations within the Los Alamos community that mostly involve support of youth. These positions were with Hope Pregnancy Center, Casa Mesita Group Home, and Young Life. Sweet and often difficult issues and relationships were experienced during that time, where patience, trust, and unconditional acceptance were key. My experience as a parent, volunteer, and employee in the Los Alamos schools and in Los Alamos nonprofit organizations demonstrates that I am an invested member of the Los Alamos community and not simply a resident. That experience also provides the school board with a compassionate, thoughtful, and well-rounded perspective. Finally, I am a strong proponent of fiscal responsibility, accountability, and unconditional acceptance and consideration of all. I want to participate in the process that guides a safe and excellent education for our community kids and that supports our exceptional Los Alamos educators. If you live in District 5, please consider voting for me for Los Alamos School Board. More information may be found on my website, sandrawyman.com. Sincerely, Sandra Wyman. Now we can move to the questions and answers. Again, you have a minute to pose a question, and all candidates will answer the same questions. They have a minute and a half to do so, and we'll take these one at a time. Up to about 4 questions, I think, is about what we have time for. Raise your hand if you have a question. Yes, in the front row.
I may not do it.
For the recording.
Oh, for the, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lucky Daniels. I actually live in White Rock, and I'm happy to be here this evening. My question, were you aware of the Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights 22-23 mandated LAPS district intervention and monitoring to address the district's Title VI in compliance with management of discrimination complaints, and that this matter was not publicly shared with the broader Los Alamos student and parent community, and particularly impacted marginalized students and parents who continue to experience discrimination in the district. The question is, were you aware that this was happening, that this was ongoing, and that this matter had not been shared with the broader Los Alamos community, particularly those who are impacted by discrimination in this district?
All right, thank you. Well, again, we'll go in ballot order. Candidate Bernstein.
No, I was not aware.
Okay.
I don't know how, I mean, I'm aware that there are things that are going on. I'm aware of many issues related. I was not specifically aware of what you just talked about, and I also know that there's certain things I cannot talk about.
Okay. Candidate Copeland.
I was not, there we go. I was not aware of this before today. I'm concerned that as a member of the Equity Committee in the district, that this was not brought to our attention. Equity Council meetings have been inconsistent over the last several years, and I am hopeful that they will continue on a more regular basis so that we can do the important work of addressing these concerns. I think that our community has heard loud and clear that we have racial equity and other equity problems in our district. We have seen it come up in the news. We have heard about it, but we need to actually be able to discuss it openly or to do something about it. We cannot solve problems if we don't talk about them.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Stanfield.
No, I was not aware of that until this evening. Obviously, it would be concerning, and hopefully that there is something clear being done from a specific process within the schools to deal with those type of issues. I'll have to read on this and see what the specific items were sent from the Department of Education to the school system.
I'd be happy to share.
Please, I would love to see it. But yeah, it would be new to me. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Other questions? Let's see, Reed, right?
I'm just wondering if you have interest in elected office other than school board.
Could you hear the question? Do you have an interest in elected office other than school board? Candidate Bernstein.
No. I just want to be on the board. I do not have an interest in another elected office at this time. Who knows what could happen in the future, but right now, this is all I'm looking at.
Candidate Copeland.
Right now, my focus is on the schools. That is where I've been spending my time and my energy. It is the foundation for our community. I do not have any plans to run for other office because education is my focus, and students and children and families. I believe that that is where my focus and my strengths lie, and that is what I intend to continue working on.
Candidate Stanfield.
No, I've never thought about running for any office. This is the first time I've run for anything, so I have no plans to run for anything else.
All right, other questions? Sir?
I'm loud. I'm wondering how,
Hang on. Microphone.
I'm loud. I don't want to be super loud here. But I'm curious about your views on the teaching of critical race theory, diversity, DEI, I forget what that is, but, and also religion in the schools. Thank you.
Candidate Bernstein?
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Yes, if you would speak to, please, your views around the teaching of critical race theory in the schools, and also views about religion being taught in the schools.
And DEI.
And
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
DEI, yes.
Okay. All right, you're talking about a whole bunch of different things that aren't necessarily connected. As for critical race theory, it's not something that we do in our schools. It isn't a curriculum, it isn't something that is taught, it isn't something that is, there's no standards attached to it. Critical race theory does not exist in our schools. So I have no opinions about it. We are a district that follows the state standards. We teach the curriculum that our students need to be taught, and we follow what is supposed to be happening in our schools. And then what was the other one? The
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
diversity, equity, and inclusion is, again, it's not a class, so it's not something that is taught. It is something that we adhere to. Of course, we are about diversity, equity, inclusion. Of course, we want all of our students to be equally included. We have diversity. And what's the third? The other
Religion.
Religion. No, we don't teach religion either. We are a public school system. We follow the law, and I'd say personally, I support any religion in our schools that our students adhere to or are part of. There shouldn't be any discriminatory actions against any kid for having their own personal religious beliefs, and our staff. But it is not something that is educated in our public schools.
Okay, thank you, Candidate Copeland.
I will echo candidate Bernstein that critical race theory is a college-level philosophy or instruction that is not applicable to our students. We have state standards on social studies, and I believe that we need to make sure that all perspectives and voices are heard, preferably by going back to primary sources. That is where you find the most information that is relevant and allows our students to implement critical thinking skills and draw their own conclusions. I am a member of the state mandated Equity Council. That is required per the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit. It is important in our district that we make sure that we are including all of our students, all of our families. I have advocated for the past 7 years for a multicultural calendar and policy in our district. And this ties into the religion piece as well, and we finally have the multicultural calendar on the website. The idea behind it is that we want to make sure that all of our students can participate in their religion or culture without missing out on one-time activities such as field trips, guest speakers, or tryouts for a team. We want to make sure that they can all do that.
Okay, thank you, Candidate Stanfield.
Yeah, I would have to follow on with what Ms. Bernstein commented on critical race theory and other items, but I would expand on is just the diversity, equity, inclusion. And if we work on those aspects in the school system and in the curriculum, we usually can touch everybody we need. Not every time, but if we focus on diversity, all the equity we need, and including every student, no matter their background, and no matter where they're from, then I think we are able to handle a lot of these issues within the school system.
All right, thank you. Ma'am?
Hi. As Sean noted, the strategic plan points out that there's a lack of parent engagement. What are the factors that limit parental involvement, and how would you encourage more parent engagement?
Candidate Bernstein.
I've been a parent in this district for a really long time. My oldest is 27, and my youngest is 17. Parent engagement, and I also taught in this district. Parent engagement is extremely important, and I do know that we have very high parent engagement here. I also know where the gaps are. As a parent, sometimes information is not always easy to come by, or you have to search around. I know that you have to ask people certain things. And so it's just more about fine-tuning that communication process and making sure it's accessible. And I think our website is still in the works of, we're just trying to tweak that and get that up to where I think it's going to be really functional. And then what was the other piece to that question?
What are the factors limiting, and then how do we improve it?
I think communication is a piece of it, and then as far as improvement, just what I said. I mean, I think like that, one place for that, where all information is, where people can easily just get there and go there and find it quickly. Parent involvement here is actually very high. I've worked in a lot of different places, and as an educator here, when I first got here, I was very surprised at the amount of parent involvement and very grateful as well. We have very active and involved parents here, and I think that's actually quite beneficial for our district, and it's definitely helpful for our students to have their parents involved as well.
Thank you. Kendra Copeland.
We do have high parent involvement, but it did drop off during the pandemic when our families, our parents, our teachers were all overextended. We are working on building up that capacity again. Because when we are supporting our families and our staff, they can have the bandwidth to engage. I personally have gone into classes and taught science, which was one of my specialties when I was teaching. But additionally, we need to look at where the barriers are. We do have high parent engagement, but we need to look at the parents that are not engaged and what we can do to help include them. Oftentimes, that's things like childcare at school activities, particularly things like open house, conferences. I know that when my children were young, it was hard to go to things like kindergarten roundup when my 2-year-old wasn't supposed to come with. And all the kindergarten roundups were at the same time, so my network all had the same exact problem. By doing things like staggering, or by allowing for evening times and things like that, we can look at what those barriers are and how we can address them. We need to look at where the missing voices are within our district.
Thank you. Kendra Stanfield.
I'm sorry, but I got distracted by my daughter calling me. Could you restate the question, please?
Yeah, so what are the factors that limit parent engagement, and how would you encourage that parental involvement?
I think there would be specific reach out from the school system for certain things. I think one of the things the strategic plan said about parent engagement was it wasn't really diverse either. That it was pretty limited to a certain group that were doing the parent engagement. So I think we need to have a more diverse approach to how we get parents engaged and reach out to other parts of the community in a more constructive manner and try and be more proactive about that type of engagement as well. That's where we lose some opinions and lose some outlook on life if we're not diverse in how we reach out to our parents.
Okay, thank you. That was for, all right, we'll do just one more, but this will be the last question. Luke.
First of all, I want to say that these ladies up at the front row are asking great questions. Thank you. And I have a follow-up to one of them, and I'm nervous asking this, but it has to do with parental engagement. You know, this summer there was a law that passed that says that if a student is planning to change gender and comes to the teacher, that the teacher is forbidden from communicating any of that to the parent. And I want to know where you stand on that and how that will affect how you write policy for the schools.
Candidate Bernstein.
Okay, I want to be clear, this was a law that was passed in our state or in a different state?
New Mexico, it went into effect in June or July.
Are you sure it was a New Mexico state law?
Yes.
It is, okay. So far, there has been no policy that's come across our table with regards to this. As far as is upholding a law that puts a board member in a very difficult position, personally, not as a board member, I encourage parent involvement, and communication between students and parents needs to be fostered in this community. A lot of our students do not feel comfortable talking to their parents about different things. I've heard students say that their parents have a different version of them than they have of themselves. My bottom line is always our students. My bottom line is what is best for our kids, and to support our students, because they are going to end up leaving here and going out into the world on their own. And that is our job, is to prepare them for that. The relationships they have with our parents, I would love to be able to foster those and to help those students have relationships with them, but it isn't the board's job to do that. We can only do support, we can look at policy, and we can make policy. I have to stop.
Thank you. Candidate Copeland.
Obviously, we have to follow state law. There's not a lot of options within that. That said, I want every student to have a safe space at home and to be able to talk to their parents about these large issues that are emotionally charged. Unfortunately, I know from my experience that not every student has a safe home that they can go to. And I want to make sure that while I am encouraging and fostering that relationship, helping them find the words to share that information with their families themselves, I don't want to put any student in a dangerous situation. And many of our engaged parents think, why would it be dangerous? Because you're not the ones we're talking about. There are families and students in our community and in communities across the country that are not safe for those students. And that is my main priority, is the safety of those students.
And I want to say neither is changing
Thank you.
gender safety for a child.
Ma'am, please. Candidate Stanfield.
As is the state law, it would be hard to maybe interfere with, but from my perspective, anything that breaks down the communication between the parent and the teacher, I don't think is good for the schools. If you were taking away communication lines, specifically between the parents and the teacher about their child, I think that starts a lot of distrust inside the school system. And that would start not only with teachers, but all the way through into administration. So I would just like to see any of these issues, these things handled to where the parent-teacher communication is not taken apart. Because when that happens, the trust between everybody and the transparency can really cause more significant issues.
Thank you very much, all three of you. We will move then from Q&A to closing statements, and you have, each of you has a minute. Candidate Bernstein, we'll start with you.
All right, thank you very much for your challenging questions this evening. I just want to say, these were very interesting questions. They're definitely things that are constantly, they're difficult, but always things that are on my mind. As a board member, there's a lot of things that we do not have any purview over. Policy was mentioned, we do have purview over that. I just want to continue to say that continuity is important. The vision and mission of this district is to provide an education for every single child, to make sure every single child, no matter if they are in special ed or they're high achieving, and every single child in between that. School has to be a place where they find meaning, where they find value, where they feel safe. It has to be a place where every single child is learning, not just being compliant. And that is the kind of system that we are now trying to move to. With our new strategic plan, I am a part of that plan, and I need to continue that focus and that work.
Thank you. Candidate Copeland.
I do want to thank everyone here for their wonderful questions and bringing these topics to light. This is a passionate community. I do want to say that my main focus is always students, parents, and teachers. That is a trifecta that is necessary for our school system to thrive. While continuity can be important, we have 4 board members who will be returning no matter what. Whether or not you think we need new voices or to continue where we are, that is up to you. But continuity will continue with Ms. Spector, Ms. Havicky, and member Sandra Wyman and Melanie Colgan. I have also been and will continue to engage with the district on many of these topics, regardless of the outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stanfield.
I appreciate everyone's time, everyone's patience with me having to text my daughter during the meeting. I think if I were to serve on the board, I do think I would bring a different perspective from being professional, working, knowing how to hire and fire, working for a company that having to follow a very stringent budget, having to follow costs and revenue, and making it work for a large number of people over the whole country. So I think that's one difference I bring to the board, and a different perspective that probably isn't seen. But once again, I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you.
Thank you. You've held your applause, so let's clap them now. All right. Thank you all very much. We're going to move to the UNMLA Advisory Board. The board consists of 5 members elected at large for staggered 4-year terms. So it's not a district voting sort of thing. They're elected at large. We have 4 candidates this year and 2 open seats. Alrighty, so now let's move to the UNMLA Advisory Board. Again, 5 members elected at large for staggered 4-year terms. We have 4 candidates, 2 open seats. So those open seats will be filled by the 2 candidates receiving the most votes. In ballot order, the candidates are Chris Lucchini, Kristen Henderson, John Pollack, and Jose Luis Carreño. All are here tonight. We will follow the same format that we just went through with the District 3 school board candidates. 3 minutes for opening statements, questions up to 1 minute long, answers up to 1.5 minutes, and closing statements of 1 minute. So let's begin. Candidate Lucchini.
Hi, I want to express my appreciation for the League of Women Voters to host this. They've been an excellent resource for candidates since I started running for office a while back. The UNMLA Advisory Board serves a really important function, I think, to bring outside perspectives to the policies and the goals of UNMLA. It's a really important institution that we have here in Los Alamos for non-traditional students, people seeking educational enrichment, and also especially for the program we bring university level credit to high school students, which I think is really important. One of the questions is going to be, why do I want to serve on this board? I have observed this board over the last 2 years. They do important work. I think there needs to be more engagement with the proposals that are being presented and the data that's being presented. and I think I can bring that to this board. That's all I have.
Thank you. Candidate Henderson.
Okay, thanks. Hi. Hi, my name is Kristen Henderson, and I'm running for the UNMLA Board of Advisors. And I also want to thank everybody for being here and for the league for hosting it and for our students who are here helping with it. That's fantastic. So I am running for UNMLA Board for a couple of reasons. One, I think that I can bring a good perspective to the board about the needs and interests of the community. And that is a really important aspect of the people who sit on the board. And the other is, I think I could do a good job, and I'm really interested in helping to advocate for the school, helping to advocate within the community, within the region, and within the state for the school. So the main job of the Board of Advisors is actually to give advice, not to the Chancellor, but to the Board of Regents of UNM. And that board is appointed by governors on a rotating basis. And so to me, these are really important positions, these Board of Advisor positions, because these are the elected positions. This is where the community gets to themselves pick who they want to have advocating and who they want their voice to be on this board. So I think this is an important board. So one of the other main reasons, I guess I should have started with, is I really believe UNMLA is an incredibly important asset in our community. You know, it's a really important institution. It's amazing to have a college in our town, right? I think it's really important. And from the big picture, I am really interested in education, and education as a vehicle for moving the economy ahead in our region. And you know, it's kind of sad where New Mexico sits nationally and in terms of an economic engine, and I feel like education is a really important tool to help our community move ahead. So in the big picture, that's one of the reasons I'm really interested in learning more about that within our state. Oh my gosh, one more minute. I have so much to say. Okay, I'll tell you guys a little tiny bit about me. I've lived here over 20 years. I had the opportunity to serve on our county council. I was kind of coerced, let's be honest, to run a number of years ago, and I'm appreciative that I was elected, and then the council selected me for one of those years to be our chair. So I did represent our community both like in DC with the federal delegation, within the state, and within the region. It was a really big honor to me to do that. I also am really proud of the fact I founded, 30 seconds, a friends group for the Manhattan Project National Historical Park, which is a really big series of words, but I think that is a really amazing thing that we also have in town, and I was happy to have founded that. I did bring the cards. You can learn all about me. I will put them out front, and I'm interested in people's questions and comments, and my email address is on there, and I'm happy to answer questions as we go forward, and I ask for your vote, and I think that's the end of my time. Thank you very much.
Candidate Pollock.
Hello, I'm John Pavlak, and I'd love to repeat what everybody has said, because we all believe, UNMLA is an important and integral part of the community. But I just first want to tell you how much I love being in this community. I moved into White Rock 19 years ago. It didn't take long to find Los Alamos' passion for education is part of its culture. And I believe in as much having the college here is an integral part of that culture. Now I worked in Bell Labs Advanced Technology as a manager and a process and project manager, and then came over here, and it didn't take long. I was here for a few years doing some stuff, and I found myself gravitating toward education. I became a high school teacher, and having managed in Bell Labs, I was used to working with children. So, just working in high school was great because, I got to talk math all day, but the students, they're like intellectual sponges. And that's what education is about. And I know you guys love it or you wouldn't be here. And so, we all want you to vote for us, just two of us. But I'll say now, and not to jeopardize my own candidacy, whoever you vote for, I applaud you for voting and try to get everybody out there to vote because the advisory board does, perform an incredibly valuable part for this community. And so, yeah, vote for me, vote for them, but please do vote. And again, I just thank you for your interest in education and your concern for the community.
Thank you. Candidate Cadena.
Thank you. I am really gratified to see the turnout that we have for these, relatively unknown positions. But anyway, I am an instructor here at UNMLA. I've been here for 7 years as an adjunct teaching business classes. And I just can't believe what a jewel of a little school that we have here for the community. And I want to do whatever I can to support the whole mission of the school and get your, well, that's why we're here, to get your community input to make it better. And I want to get whatever you want to say about it and digest it, pass it along, not that way, but yeah. Anyway, that's the way I see my role here. And I've been asked also about, well, is there a conflict of interest about my being an instructor and being on the board? And I was assured that it wasn't because I just have I teach 1 or 2 classes a semester, and I have very little input into anything that's going on around the school. So maybe this will increase my input to improve it further. And right now it's going through some difficulty with some of the aging buildings that are really in need of major upgrades. The one that we've been working on, well, we finished the library, and that was, it's a beautiful library now if you haven't seen it. And Building 6 is having a lot of issues, had a lot of issues. It's already like way over budget, but that's just the nature of the beast. And now we have some other upgrades for buildings 1 and 2 that I want to see maybe help make it happen. So anyway, that's why I would really like your vote so that I can help out. And thank you.
Thank you all. Let's turn to Q&A. 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 Raise your hand. Oh, we can't let them go without something. Ms. Copeland.
Son? Yes. Okay. How would you work with the high school for students that want to do dual credit classes? What scheduling challenges are there? And what are the things that are working well?
All right, we'll start with candidate Henderson.
Okay, we're not going in order?
I misunderstood just how rigorous the ballot order thing was, so I get to mix it up for the questions.
Excellent. Okay, good. So I'm a big believer in dual credit, and I think that's one of the really great things that UNMLA offers, and it's great that it's right, the college is right across the street from the high school. As a board, one of the things I'm interested in is serving as it's kind of a sounding board for the chancellor, but the actual job of the board is not at that level of policy in terms of scheduling. I mean, we certainly could say, let's make sure the schedule works appropriately with the kids' high school classes, like that is an important thing, but I don't think, but beyond that, I actually don't know if there are currently scheduling conflicts. I know there were some with some math a couple of years ago, and I had a child looking into that, but I do think it is really important. And I didn't get to say, and I have like 15 seconds left, one of my facets, and I'm really focused on education, and my own background is I have a philosophy undergrad, which I think applies everywhere, and then a law degree from UCLA, and I just wanted to shove those in as my educational background. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, candidate Pavlik.
As stated, it's not really in the purview of the board to do that. You know, having got a 410 in my English SAT, my English teacher would love the fact that I use the word purview. But dual credit is phenomenal. The bridge between middle school and high school, you know, it's like a huge gap for kids. But then from high school to college, it's an enormous leap. Dual credit doesn't just give them the opportunity to, you know, taste the college mentality, but they start to, you know, realize how much they have, you know, to take responsibility for their own education. Now, how we can work with the high school to adjust schedules, I don't know. I'm the first to say that there's a lot of things I don't know, but I do think that those schedules should be tailored to be as maximally convenient for the students and for the teachers, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Canano. Yes.
As a matter of fact, about a third to a half of any of my class roster is made up of high schoolers. So I'm very familiar with all that. And I even have people from out of state in some of my classes because they've heard about the excellence and the great price that is offered at our campus. So it's pretty wild that I get people from Idaho and other places. We try to accommodate the times, the schedules, as much as possible so that make it, you know, feasible for the students the high schoolers to take the classes. And another thing that I found out when my own daughter was getting ready to go to UNM is that this campus has what they call a bridge scholarship that we were not aware of. And basically, she got her first semester of college here, saving us $5,500, and then going to the main campus the second half of her freshman year, and it worked out great. And the community, I don't think, knows about this, so I want to get the word out about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Lucchini.
So first, this is an advisory board, it's not an executive board. It does not have decision-making authority, nor should it pretend to. Schedules of the classes are well outside of the purview of this board, and should be. Having said that, obviously, as someone who spent a good portion of my junior and senior year at the local university that did not have a dual credit program, which is a little bit challenging, I know how valuable these things can be. They can allow a student that is not able to get the appropriate classes or has a specialized interest to actually explore those interests. So I strongly, strongly support this program and the expansion of this program to the extent you can find instructors and students. So as an advisory board, certainly I'm sure that the scheduling is being competently handled, but if there's any questions, any advice we could give, any thinking outside the box, I'd be more than happy to this board address that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for the candidates for UNM LA? Becky.
Shall I shout it out? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'll put on my teacher voice. I'm very interested in your ideas. I appreciate that you do not set curriculum, but I'm interested in your ideas about how this UNMLA can contribute to the vitality and maybe the economics of northern New Mexico, which badly needs that. So, any ideas?
Candidate Pawlak, you go first.
Of course you would ask a question that I didn't even think about. I really don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but let me put my process management hat on and I'll tell you, everything, all the decisions we used to make back in corporate America led me, right in line with what I see with education. it always comes down to balancing needs. The quality of what you're trying to get, how fast, the timing, and the cost, the money. And, so it's a huge balancing act. And when talking with some other members and Dr. Hull's club, I could see it's always, you can have two of those and the other one becomes shaky. I know that from a process management perspective, what the board does is it listens, and then it tries to consolidate what it's hearing into advice that can be followed or at least heard or help directed. So I really, again, I have to say, I don't really know. But I know that it's a function that the board would love to contribute to.
Okay, thank you, Candidate Carreño.
Well, thank you. Well, since business is what I teach, that's a subject dear to my heart, but it's also given me a great deal of satisfaction to see some of my previous students who are now successfully out in the community. Some have even started their own businesses in the community. So that shows more or less the impact that our little institution could have on the lives of people. As far as furthering the business or development, we have the SBDC downstairs. That's a very important part of the university. Well, it's not in the university, but it's located in the university. But we support their mission, and whatever we can do to stimulate the economy in whatever capacity, that would be a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Lucci.
So, almost a decade and a half ago, I was running a research and development project for oil and gas, and ended up hiring a few UNMLA graduates, associate's degree people. And that's part of the reason I'm so positive on this institution. One of the things that, again, not in the purview of this board in terms of originating the ideas, but certainly possibly in terms of advising on the outcome, an increased effort to match potential customers and resources. And the customers are obviously students and businesses that would then employ those students, not just here in Los Alamos, but the greater northern New Mexico region. And resources is instructors and the money to fund those instructors. There could be programs that might have some significant demand from students, but if you don't have the instructors to do it, you can't do it. That's one of the things where I think that having a greater publicity, that's something the board could do, is reach out and basically publicize the need for people who have the skills, and this place is full of the people that have the skills to come here and be instructors.
Thank you, Candidate Henderson.
Okay, great, thanks. So I think there is just a whole lot that can be done. I can't see you, Ms. Becky, but oh, there you are. So I grew up in Boulder, right, with the University of Colorado right there, and you cannot underestimate the amount of cultural influence that the university has had on that town and has all the time. And I do think that that is something that would be great to foster for UNMLA, that if there are music classes, that we can advertise and have, open the classes to the community to come hear their performances at the end, or, advertise more business courses at night. You can come in and hear, a lecture on how to do your startup. I mean, there's lots of ways you can leverage the existing classes that are happening and include the community and more. I think in terms of economic development and what the school can do, one, I think it's really important that this school partner with the other schools in the region, right? You have regional areas where you're supposed to be serving those students, but I think we need to all work together. And one of the things I think the schools can do together is reach out to the junior highs and the high schools and go and talk to them about your future careers and how you can go into, you could start here and then you could transfer down to Northern, or you could start at Northern and come up here and finish through the main campus. There's lots of things you can do to be reaching out within the community. I also think, I know that the school does a lot of workforce development training, so not just matching the students that you have with the employers, but working with the employers, which I know UNMLA does a great job already of, but working with employers to build the programs that they need, even if they're just 12 or 16-week programs, to put people right into their workforce. And I'm already getting the stop sign, but I do think that's a really important thing that UNMLA should be doing and doing more of. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question, sir. I'll take you next. Okay, I'm talking to him though. There.
Hello, my name is John Patchett. I have a degree from UNM and another degree from UNM, which was sort of parlayed, worked through UNMLA, and I, like everyone here, appreciates UNMLA. My question has to do with student housing, which for a number of reasons, student housing is really important for a university, right? We just heard, oh, it'd be nice to talk to high schools, but if you're not from here, where do you live? How do you deal with that? I think the vibrancy that could be created by having student housing is really important. And are any of you thinking of that? Is it on your radar? How might you go about finding student housing for a more vibrant student body and increasing the census here?
Okay, we'll start with candidate Carano.
That's a good question. I'm aware that they have one of the buildings on 9th Street is actually UNM housing, and I think that's the only one that's still around. Oh, it's gone? Oh. Okay, sorry. But, yeah, it would be great to have, students coming to classes, but now I find that more and more want online classes. And my classes, the last 2 semesters have been strictly online. I miss face-to-face, but it seems like the student body is moving to that direction. So I don't know that student housing would be an issue for, I would say, 80–90% of the students anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Lacini.
Oh, this will be the fun part. Housing in this town is a meta issue. It's far larger than anything having to do with UNMLA. And the solution to inadequate housing or insufficient housing or affordable housing is to build more housing. It's a shocking idea. Whether this facility, and I tend to agree, from what I have seen, more and more people are very comfortable with remote learning. I do think it is definitely lacking in certain areas. There's some things we just can't do. And I think it's suboptimal, but I'm an old guy. So whether it's actually needed or not is not something that I think that we as a board, somebody's going to come to us with a study or something like that, and we will opine on that. So I would actually like to see that kind of a study done, be presented to this board. I'd like to see what conclusions they come to. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Henderson.
That'd be great, thank you. I am concerned about this question and interested in this question, and I actually wrote about it in the Women Voters pamphlet that we put together. I think the school does need housing, and I think the answer to it is, as has been mentioned, housing is an issue in the whole town, right? And I think the solution is partnering, and I think that needs to happen in the region and up here on the hill. And we are landlocked, there's not a ton of available space, but I think we need to have a partnership between the county, between the school, between other entities that need housing, and see what we can work on together. And again, this board, this is out of that purview of the board, but I think it's important for people who are on that board to advocate for those kind of things. That may not be the official job, but you can still speak publicly about it, you can still make connections, you can still bring people together who are interested in doing that and try to be collaborators who can help to work on those kind of problems. And I think that's a really important thing that this board should be doing. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Let's see, sir, we'll give you the last question.
We have one of our candidates answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
No, that's okay.
I'm very
Yes, no.
sorry. I need to be fired.
It's a great question. The answer is nobody has an answer right now. And the answer, the question has been asked. I know that it's being thrown around. It's going to take a lot of conversations and a lot of thinking to make it work right. I mean, like you said, it's housing, even outside of the university, is an issue already. And parking, and then traffic, which makes a great optimization problem that way. Now, but what I think that, again, the board's job is to hear questions and start looking at the various answers. Someone else is actually going to make the decision as to what the answer is. We give advice, hopefully good advice. But I would love to, bottom line, I would love to see some housing for the students, because as much as online education offers us, there are some things that you just got to be in the classroom for the interactive socialization of the subject and stuff. So, great question.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, it's a really short question, but just like yes or no. How many of you are employees at UNMLA? I think we heard one, but is there anybody, each of you, could you go down the row?
No, I'm not.
No,
Not in any way, right?
100% not in any possible way. I do have a job, and I work for one of the contractors for the lab, but I am not for the DOE actually, but no, I am not employed here in any way.
No.
Probably yes.
All right. Thank you all very much. We'll move then from question and answers to the closing statements and going in ballot order. Candidate Lucchini.
So I think you've heard a lot of good questions and good answers from this panel. And I would just ask that you consider voting for me on election day. Thank you.
Candidate Henderson.
Okay, thank you. I think in conclusion, I'd like to reiterate, I really think this is a really important institution. And I do think we can raise the level of awareness within our community and within our region and leverage a lot of the great things that are happening here and help to have more things happen here that we can increase, as was mentioned by Becky, the vitality and the economic development within the region and for the vitality up here. I also happen to serve as a volunteer on a different board called the Regional Development Corporation, and we are always talking about different ways that you can help coordinate education, help coordinate housing, help coordinate different things that are happening in the region. It's really a passion of mine, and I see being on the board here as an opportunity for me to do that, and I would be really honored to represent our community to do that, and I think this is a really important board. So I encourage you to ask me questions or give me your input, and I do have my little email, it's right here, I'll put those cards out, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Havlik.
I take it as a great privilege to be on the board. We all know that it serves an incredibly important development in this community. Well, I also have cards I'll put up there. But I have a contact on it, and what I'm asking for you, again, for you to vote for somebody here, send me your questions, and even if I'm not, if I don't end up on the board, I'll still have those questions. I'll make sure that whoever's on them is hearing them. But again, I just want to thank you all for your interest in education, and vote for me.
Thank you. Candidate Cadeno.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to have our interactions with these folks and with you, and I would be happy to vote for any of these three folks. I think they would be in good hands, the school would be in good hands, but I think with my experience with the school that I would be one of the better candidates for you to vote for. And I, again, want to thank you all for your involvement their vote. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you to UNMLA for providing, for hosting this event tonight, to PAC-8, and to Jean, to all of those who asked such great questions, to the candidates who were able to join us. Thank you all very much, and let's clap our advisory board candidates.